Do you remember the $97 interview video? Why would you pay $97 to interview me? This time it's different. You're not interviewing me. I'm showing you how I work under pressure, live in the room. Most workshops make you sit through death by PowerPoint. In this one, you get to test me. I'm going to show you how I take a team from chaotic to a well-oiled machine inside 90 days. You'll see exactly how I'd align your team, remove bottlenecks, and build momentum using the exact Manic Monday sprint framework that I've stress tested on massive construction projects and shutdowns. The real villain is expecting your team to scale your business without giving the correct structure for execution. This session shows you what it looks like when you move your team from good to great. The workshop's split into 3 parts where you get to fully test what I can and can't do. It's practical, hands-on, and it's certainly not a lecture, and it's only $97. So you're probably thinking, what's the catch? Is there going to be a pitch? If you come along thinking that, you certainly won't be disappointed. There will be a pitch, but I'll send it to you before you even come so you can decide whether it's for you or not. DM me the word workshop. I'll send you the pitch. Then you'll know exactly what it is. And if it's not for you, that's fine. So if you want to see how I build high-performing teams in 90 days, this is your opportunity. Right, if you want to come along to that workshop, you think it's just going to be a pitch, you will not be disappointed. Or won't just be a pitch, but there will be a pitch, and I'll be showing you exactly what we're speaking to today. So if you're a project director, general manager, executive general manager, maybe even a project manager, you got a really good team on your site, but you just can't get it together. The project's really struggling. Today we're going to have a look at the thing that tells us the real story, the data, and see what's going on. 2 killer resources we're going to recommend through this. Number 1 is How Things Get Done by Bent Flyvbjerg. We'll come back to that in a minute and have a look at the iron law of project management. And another book, you may have heard of The Goal. This is Theory of Constraints, the handbook. This describes the problem in detail, what we've got at the moment. So I'm going to read to you straight here from page 16. The project management literature is enormous, several thousands of articles and dozens of books. While project management has grown significantly, many of the problems initially identified almost 5 decades ago, or up to about 7 decades ago now, in both the macro view, which is applications, literature, and in the micro view, or theoretical literature, still exist today. The literature review provides only a brief glimpse of the continuing theme of project management research since the late 1950s of today. The purpose is to show that the problems of project management have not been solved, nor has the promise of project management been achieved over this time interval. And it goes on to talk about project failures, and it lists the 12 causes of project failure. Fast forward to today, and this book was probably printed 12 months, 2 years ago, how big things get done. The iron law of project management, there's an actual supplement that goes with this book, which is on my wall over there, that shows you the cost overruns on all these projects. But this is an overview. This was data collected from over 16,000 projects, everything from home renovations through to iron ore mines, big mines, oil and gas projects, to putting people into outer space. Iron law, over budget, over time, under benefits, over and over again. Out of all the projects that were studied, 47.9% were on budget or better. So when you start a project, you got 50-50 chance that you'll actually hit budget. 8.5% were on budget or on time and on time, both. So we delivered it on budget, on schedule. 0.5% are on budget, on time, and deliver the benefits or better than what they were forecast to actually deliver. Yet if you go to LinkedIn, look at everyone's profile, project managers around the place, you will be lucky to find one that said, I've actually been stuck in the iron laws of project management. Only 50% of my projects have been on budget, 8.5% have been on time and on budget, and 0.5% of what I've actually done delivered all 3, budget, time, and delivered the benefits. Everyone tells you how they deliver projects on time, on budget, safely. Bullshit. All right, that's not what the data says. Let's get into it. So the 12 causes of project failure. So what we're going to look at here is two things. Down in this bottom left-hand corner down here is what the average, and this is majority of what's going on, and that cause failure. So down in that corner there, these are the things, the 12 things that cause people to be average and failures at delivering projects. Up in this top corner here, we're going to look at what the outliers do that create flow. How do those 0.5% deliver on time, on budget, and deliver the benefits? That's what we're going to look up in the top corner, which is when you come along to the workshop, I'll show you exactly how I do this. Right, number 1, 12 causes of project failure. Not really a surprise. Lack of planning. Ready, fire, aim. That's what we tend to do in the construction industry. Just get it moving. We'll work it out on the fly. So our planning's really poor. Number 2, and I believe this should be number 1, is actually, and the poor old project manager's getting a flogging today, and believe it or not, I am actually project manager myself after years and years and years of working for project managers and going, this ain't working, what they're doing does not work. I went back and did the diploma myself. So instead of being work for the idiot project manager, I became one instead. But I don't do it the way that they do it, and I'll explain to you what I do actually do. So, project manager, the days of the spreadsheet project manager that sits in his office and never goes out onto the paddock or goes out once a week to do a walk with a client or once a day even, they're done. All the stuff is, I tell people, we are now coming full circle, we're going back to the characters that we had when I first came into the construction industry, which was the late 80s. The project managers, we didn't really have project managers, it was more construction managers back in those days, were real characters. Guys that knew how to build teams and knew how to build the job. Take note of those two things. Knew how to build teams and they knew how to actually build things, build the job. Then we brought computers onto the site and we hooked them up to printers and spreadsheets. Then we decided, the accountants or whoever, decided that we needed theoretical people that knew how to crunch numbers and knew how to build spreadsheets running the job. Caused a lot of this drama that we've now currently got. Okay, we're going full cycle. AO can do all of that stuff. There's no need for a spreadsheet PM anymore. The character who knows how to run people and knows how to actually build things out in the paddock can now get data fed to him and move him much quicker. He doesn't need to be stuck trying to do a spreadsheet. Number 3, project changes. Scope creep. We've already alluded to it earlier. Poor planning. They're killing us. Number 4 is poor scheduling. I've got people that tell me Scrum doesn't work. Scrum works just fine if you know how to use it. Scrum is just a tool. The things that I'm going to speak to today, theory, constraint, lean, Scrum, just tools. There's an old axiom, or old saying in the construction industry or trades in general, a poor tradesman always blames his tools. People that say that these tools don't work, I don't know how to use the tools. If I go and get myself, years and years ago, I was a really good welder. If I went and bought a latest state-of-the-art welding machine now and pulled it in and went to try to use it, I'd be hopeless with it. Wouldn't be able to use it. Put someone else in who's a gun, who's doing it all the time at the moment, they would fly. So what's the problem? Is the problem the person or is the problem the welding machine? I'll let you decide. Poor scheduling. We're still stuck on Gantt charts. Scrum talks to the fact that Gantt chart was a World War II relic. We gave up on trench warfare, but we're still using Gantt charts. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. Skills of the team members. Hear this one all the time. Yes, we haven't trained for a lot of years. The skill set isn't there around anymore, but we need to work with what we got. We need to upskill the guys that we've actually got instead of just whinging about it. Management support. So by this, they're talking sponsors, we're talking about stakeholders, those sorts of things. This is, again, I believe comes back to this guy here. If you don't have management support, his job is to create buy-in with their stakeholders. And we'll look at how we do that in a minute. The old funding, don't have enough money to do it. That's the 7th course. We'll look at how to manage that. And this one, 7 and 8, this has also become pretty much a specialised skill set between funding and cost containment. You need decent project controls behind you, supporting this guy, the project manager. If he's trying to do all of this on himself, and you can see these 12 causes of failure here, his day's gone just trying to eliminate these 12 causes. This is not a Lone Ranger job, the project manager. He needs a good, solid project delivery team. Just the words project manager and project management set us up to fail, I believe. This is about project delivery. We look at the project manager or the project management as sitting at the top, managing everything underneath it. No, that's the wrong way to look at it. What we need is the people at the front, sitting at the top, doing the work, and everyone below them is a support level to get them what they need to be able to deliver this thing on time, on budget, and to deliver the benefits. Number 9, I've remembered all of them so far, but I've forgotten that number 9, resources. This one, again, there he is, O-U-R-C-E-S, put one too many on there, Benny, all right. Again, we don't manage, or my old man, whenever we wanted resources, when I was apprentice, I worked under my old man. He was had a little business, fabrication, installation, mechanical work. Whenever we went to him and said, we need another crane, we need another person, we need more tools, we need this, we need that, his reply was always the same. You're not using what you've already got properly yet. There's always waste. There's always underused resources, underused talent, underused tooling, underused cranes. Resources are never the problem. As a Tony Robbins quote, lack of resourcefulness is. This one's become a beast in itself. Information management. My way would be an email offsite. That would be 2/3 of the information management problem solved, but we can't do that, so we'll have a look at how we're going to manage it. Number 10, this one again, incentives. Everything these days seems to be cost plus. If it's going to be cost plus, then we need to build something in there to keep people on track, keep them on the ball, keep them sharp. Otherwise, it just becomes a free-for-all and the cash just burns or piles out the door. All right, this one probably, I reckon this should have been 2. Lack of continuing risk analysis. We do these wonderful workshops before we start the project. Risks, Monte Carlos, this, that. Put them all together, spend hours with people in workshops, which is not the most efficient way to do it either. All these hours we spend on this risk analysis. What happens with it? Goes in a spreadsheet, gets filed somewhere in the online system, wherever it is, in our information management system, and no one ever looks at it again till the end of the job. Then we say we're going to do a lessons learned and pull out all the lessons that we learn and take them to the next project. If we do happen to do the lessons learned, guess what happens to them? They get filed in a document and that gets pushed away. No one ever looks at it again. All right, so we know the average projects that are failing have those, some, or if not, if you go and have a look at most projects you work on, if we're honest, they've got all of those things going on to some degree. I'm just going to take a sip of water. I've got the man flu at the moment. Just keen to keep the throat a little bit lubricated. So what are we going to do instead? Down in this corner here, we said lack of planning was our number 1 cause of failure. Go to a site called Elevate, or look him up on LinkedIn. His name's Jason Schroeder. Elevate Construction. First planner system, last planner system. First planner's the stuff that we need to do before we get on site to make sure we've got everything we need to be able to do the project, to kick it off properly. Last planner is the guys at the work front that actually do the work. Check sheets, format, frameworks, everything you need is there to be able to do that. All you need to do is execute on that and you will eliminate that lack of planning problem. Gone, done. Project manager. What are we going to do with this bloke? All right, so what we need is not a spreadsheet engineer that sits, well, most project managers are engineers for some reason, as I said, to do with spreadsheets. He needs to get to the gemba, which is the work front, Japanese word for where the work's actually done. And he needs to be a problem solver. 3 core skills that he needs to know to be able to do this. He doesn't have to be able to do these all well, but he needs to know enough about them to put people in place to be able to manage these things for him. Scrum, twice the work, half the time. No brainer, tells you exactly why you need to do that. Theory of Constraint, that book that I spoke to before. If you don't understand where the constraint is in the system or how the whole system works or about creating flow, you got little to no chance of being able to run a project, run it well. Theory of Constraint, last one is lean. In particular, 2-second lean. That's your continuous improvement loop. So you're probably thinking, I don't claim to be a guru or an expert on project management. I've been on some projects that have gone really poorly, and I've been on some, particularly just recently, that have done very, very, very well. Like turned around on a dime inside 60 days and took off because I put this stuff in place. Not an expert, not a guru, don't even want to be in the project manager role. I tend to sit in more of a role to the side where I help do this stuff, get this stuff in place. What I am is a student of the game. I don't talk about these books because I think they look good. If you ask anyone that's worked on site with me, first thing that I do in the morning when I get to site is sit there and I'll be reading and studying those books. There will be let me just show you over here. Wherever my site is, won't be this deep, bigger shelf, but there will be a shelf of books for people to be able to, or that I study, and for people to be able to use. And we're looking for continuously, where do we find the next improvement? Where do we speed up? Where are we constrained? How do we make the boat move faster? So that one there. 2, if we've got a project manager that's got a high IQ, spends a good majority of his day, spends time at the gemba, he's a good problem solver, then we have the right guy in place. Project changes. This needs to be tracked in real time. We have all sorts of apps, stuff like that these days. We make this so incredibly hard to be able to do. This is why people don't do it. We need to be able to get this. I should have checked and I didn't. I just need to make sure, yep, we're good. Make this quick, simple and easy for people to do, and create a process where when you do get a change, this is what happens. Follow steps 1, 2, 3, 4, checklist, something simple. Trello, get Trello board running, issues get flagged, go straight into there, pings the engineer or whoever needs to make the QA, whoever needs to make the decision. Hey, we've stopped on this particular butt. We've stopped where we're putting this bit of steel in. We need to get someone here and sort this out. Trello will allow us to do that, capture photos, whatever we need to do, play on, move on. Let's make a decision and move on. So if we manage our project changes in real time, that will start to eliminate that problem. Poor scheduling. Already had my rant about the Gantt chart. So what we need to be looking at is what's known as a takt plan. Takt is a German word for drumbeat. And get everyone working in a pattern, in a flow. So we're using a takt plan. There's a number of different softwares out there you can get to use this particular stuff. And we're looking at the critical chain. Critical chain of what are all the things that need to be stacked together to be able to make this flow down our critical path. Other thing that we look at then is what is near critical path. So we want to keep the takt and our resources focused on our critical path that needs to get us from start to finish. Anything that feeds into that could stop it or hold it up, we need to make sure that we've got resources and everything that we need, tools, all the bits and pieces that we need to be able to keep that on track as well, to keep that all flowing. Flow. This is the most important word on a construction site, flow. So if we've got a TAC plan, we know a critical path, we've got a critical chain that needs to happen through that critical path, and we know what our near critical path items are, that will fix our poor scheduling. Skills of team members. We go with the bums on seat model, just get people here. We need to focus on getting the right people here. This is why I'm building construction school as well. It's about getting people in and starting to teach them these things. Imagine if you had everyone from the ground up that understood this stuff, not just the project management team or supervisors or superintendents. Everyone from the floor up understood that we would need to continuously improve this, make this better and better and better and better as we went. Projects would literally flow. Get the right people, and we need to train them, because we're saying that the skills are down, and I'm not just talking about training them as in skill set for doing the actual job, technical skills. I'm talking about train people how to work, train people how to see flow, train people how to understand how to plan, what's the best way to plan, how to work together better, how to communicate, how to speak to each other, how to capture the delays, what happens when there is a delay. Have a look at your schedule. This TAC plan is perfect for the guys out in the field because it's visual and easy to read. So they can read this as well and see what needs to happen, where everyone's supposed to be going. One of the key things that I missed on this is like your Gantt chart can be thousands of pages or hundreds of pages, and we're saying we're trying to get everyone on the same page. TAC plan, we can get everything we need on there, on the one page, so that people can get on the one page and see exactly where we're all trying to head, how we're trying to get from A to B, from start to the end. We've got something like 2-second lean in place, where everyone's improving every day. The skills of the team members arise, will eliminate that problem. Management support. This one I've stolen from Traction on Gino Wickman. It's called a same page meeting. So what we need is the project manager, project director, whoever else is the support for this actual project need to be getting together once a week and going through, do a quick check-in. How you going? How's things? Good, good. Look at the updates and then look at the big issues. What are the big things? Is funding killing us? We need to sort that shit out. All right, we've contained our cost? Yes. Are our resources good? They don't need to dive into the details of the other thing, but you need a constant backwards and forwards to make sure these things are on track. We don't do these, we do these things at the start of the project and then get to the end of it and write a report on it. No, it needs to happen on a weekly basis to be able to create flow. The other thing that you can do is have them involved in a sprint review. So deliver something every week. Next week we're going to deliver this. I'm going to show you what it is. We're going to put the steel up in the northwest corner of the project over there. I want you to come and have a look at the end of next week, at the end of the sprint review. We reckon we're going to put X amount of tonne in there. We want you to come with us and look at it and see where we are. Run your eyes over it as well. Create some buy-in. The reason you don't get management support is because they're going, oh well, it's not my job to run the project. I just get in the funding or whatever it is. Pull them into the system. Give them, create buy-in. If we do that, we'll tick that box. We'll have management support. Funding. We need to understand the difference between cost versus throughput. Again, that comes, I'm not going to go into it today. Throughput's looking at the overall of the project, okay? So what these guys typically tend to do, project managers, is look at cost in isolation. That crane's worth $50,000, that's worth $20,000 a month. No brainer, take the $20,000 one. Yeah, well, the $20,000 one's not the machine that we actually need. What that's going to do is hold the critical path up. It's going to take us twice as long to do all the work, and we're going to deliver the project late, which means that you're not going to get your income off the project as well. So by saving $30,000 on the crane per month, you're costing yourself $500,000 a week at the back end of the project. That's the difference between cost and throughput. The other thing that we decided in our wisdom years and years ago is that we didn't show supervisors or superintendents or anyone like that budgets anymore. So they don't really, they're flying blind and making all of their decisions based on what they think is best for the project, and they don't actually know what the budgets were So they got no way of measuring cost or understanding what the throughput is. They need the big picture, and then they need a budget for their area. This is what we've budgeted, but if you think you can do something to increase this throughput, but it's going to cost more, but we're going to make a lot more money on the back end, let's sit down and have a look at it. All right, understand cost versus throughput. A lot of our funding issues are going to get cleaned up. I've just spoke to the next one already, which is cost containment. We need transparency for that to happen. Supervisors, everyone needs to be on board of what we've actually budgeted to do this and where the money's coming from at the end of the project. Dashboards are a great place to do this. Everyone needs to be able to see exactly what's going on, where the money's going on the project, what we're burning. It shouldn't just be sitting on this guy to do a report at the end of the month to say, hey, we're blowing our cost, something terrible. This should be in real time. These days there's tools like Power BI. There's absolutely no reason why not. If we've got that running, we'll have our cost containment under control. Resources, something available. Utilise what's available already to you. Already said it, I gave you the quote from my old man, which was, you're not using what you've already got properly yet. I'll guarantee you any project that says that it's got a resource constraint is not utilising its available resources properly. Resources are never the problem. Lack of resourcefulness is. Information management. This is a huge one. This just goes round and round and round in circles on most sites, especially with email. I've already had a rant about email. What we need is a process map. What does it actually look like? This is how information flows on the project. Yokoten is what the Japanese call it. If we create a process map where people can see where the information is going, how it comes in, how it feeds out, we're going to solve the problem of information management. Again, this comes back to our 2-second lean. If we're teaching people how to communicate, how to follow the process, information management problem will disappear as well. Incentives. This is not just monetary, okay? What we need is a scoreboard. State of origin the other night, Queensland kicked New South Wales ass yet again. No one would have gone and watched that game if there wasn't a massive scoreboard in there so they could see their progress and how they were going. Incentives need to be tied to a scoreboard that shows people the progress. If we have a scoreboard in place, some decent incentives, and incentives might only be gifts or barbecues or whatever it is. People love to compete for things, okay? We have that in place. Those issues are going to start to disappear. Last one, lack of continuous risk analysis. This is where theory of constraints comes in. We need to be taught to the constraints every day. You have it run it on a whiteboard, and I have a separate whiteboard which is just for constraints. What's the constraint? What areas are it affecting? When did it start? When's the start date? When do we identify it? Who's run a point on it? Whose responsibility is it to sort it out? And when do we close it out? If we're not talking to constraints on a daily basis, or you run a shutdown, you're probably talking to this by shift, day shift, night shift, start of days, start of nights, start of days, start of nights. If we're not removing those constraints all the time, and that's why this guy's up here needs to, or had someone who just understands their constraint, not talking to constraints all of the time, then that is going to blow us out of the water. Do that. Lack of continuous risk analysis. We do that on a daily basis. We've solved that problem as well. All right. So let's go and do a real quick recap of what we've covered here today. Don't want to get off because my throat's running out real quick. We know that the average and project failure have a lack of planning. Project managers, quite often the problem. Project changes, scope creep, poor planning, poor scheduling, skills of the team members, that no management support, funding's not done properly, cost containment's all over the place, lack resources or not using their resources properly information management's terrible, don't have any incentives, and they've got a lack of continuing risk analysis. The way that we manage those things: first planner, last planner system. Get to Elevate Construction. Get a PM, it's got a high EQ, gets to the Gemba, see where the work's getting done, and he's a real problem solver. Project changes, we track them in real time. Make sure we get a process in place to manage them. Scheduling, we get tact and our critical chain to manage that for us. We get the right people and we keep them in a continuous learning loop via 2-second lean. Management support, we are managing via same page meetings and our sprint reviews. Cost versus throughput is how we understand what we need for funding, and cost containment is managed via transparency and dashboard. Resources, we need to utilise what's available. Information management, people need to see where the information needs to flow. We need a process map. Incentives need to be tracked on a scoreboard, and our constraints need to be up on a whiteboard that's up on everyone's face and looked at daily. All right, take that, use it. The 2 books that I mentioned, of course, are Theory of Constraint Handbook, actually anything written by Dr. Eli Goldratt or his daughter or his son. Rami's his son, Dr. Efrat's his daughter. Rules of Flow is a particularly good book. If you haven't got time to read Theory of Constraint first, get Rules of Flow. And that one, How Big Things Get Done, Dr. Bent Flyvbjerg. Take it, use it, made a great week. Want to get along to that workshop? Just message me the word workshop. I'll send you the pitch so you can see the pitch product that I'm selling there, which is project management services, funnily enough. And I'll also show you what we're going to cover during the workshop. Take it, use it, made a great week. Start eliminating those 12 causes of project failure, and we'll speak soon.